Professor Hirsch, can you tell me what we're here for today and what all the tents are about?
Yes, right now we have a crisis of unsheltered homelessness. We know we have at least 336 people living outside. That's probably an underestimate. Often it's been up around 500. This is maybe 5 times what we've ever seen in the past. You know, an 86% increase since January. We also have a hotel program that's housing people who are formerly homeless that's closing on Tuesday with 212 people who will be losing their hotel beds. We also have an eviction moratorium from the Centers for Disease Control that's ending right now. So we have the possibility of there being over 500, maybe 1,000 people living on our streets. This is totally unacceptable, and the state has really not done much of anything to address this crisis. If these people had been flooded out by Hurricane Henri or Hurricane Ida, they already would have been in shelter or housing. And even shelter, we have over 1,000 people on a waiting list just to get into shelter. People think we have a safety net, but we absolutely do not. A lot of this clearly is due to COVID, in terms of people not having the money to pay their rent or mortgage, you know, people who have been displaced and have nowhere to go, literally nowhere to go. So we're saying to the governor and to the General Assembly, you need to act on this immediately. That's why we have these tents set up, to show what is happening out on the streets. And we're asking for a task force to create units to move people into, a renewed hotel program so that people aren't on the street, trying to increase the capacity of shelters if that can be done safely, and to support and find a site for Echo Village, which is a tiny home project proposed by the House of Hope. We just don't know why this isn't being seen as the crisis that it is. And that's what we're trying to make happen, is make sure that the public, the General Assembly, and the governor see this as something urgent that needs to be addressed now.
This has been going on for a long time, pre-COVID as well, but post-COVID or during COVID, this became a real existential crisis for many, many people.
It started to go up, for example, in January we had almost 200 people outside. Now we're looking at well over 300, probably more.
Right.
So it's getting worse, not better. And you know, given the hotel program closing, the eviction moratorium ending, it's only going to get worse. Why won't they act? That's what we want to know.
I've been wondering that myself. I asked questions, been asked about this for a while, like the eviction moratorium, for instance, and many, many governors in other states and many other cities, mayors of other cities have issued their own moratoriums, and yet we seem to be very loath to do that here in Rhode Island.
We need a state eviction moratorium right now to avoid having hundreds more people outside.
Right. And so we've got about 30 tents set up, and hopefully this will spur the governor to do something or meet with somebody or
we hope
something.
He has met with us.
Yeah.
We just feel like we need to light a fire under him.
Right.
And really try to make things happen. And it's on the General Assembly too.
Right.
Why aren't they in session to address this crisis?
A lot of people wonder why the General Assembly isn't in session right now.
Yes.
With millions and millions of dollars of unspent federal funds that are sitting there doing nobody any good. You know, that could easily house the people we're talking about.
Exactly.
Not doing it. How was the governor? Was he receptive to any of the ideas brought by the
We do believe he cares. I think he cares about the issue. He wants to do what's right, but he hasn't really responded to proposals, direct, concrete proposals that have been made.
Right.
So we need a response. We need him to do it, particularly the task force to create units before winter arrives.
Yeah.
It's really important that he do that.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.